So pardon the dramatic entrance, but I thought this was cool. Cutting a box is not my idea, I think that was Jenna, the carver, whatever her name. Anyway, I thought it was cool. Chainsaw box. It says Pinkway on it. What's inside? What is inside? So the chainsaw did ruin the top box, but the bottom box is fine. What do we have here, folks? One more chainsaw, Travis? You don't need more chainsaws. I have admitted this to you, but I promise you, I think this is going to be a cool surprise. Come on. So what is this, you may ask? Another Pinkway? Oh, what are you doing, Travis? No, this Pinkway is special. This is my Pinkway, the one that I originally bought a few months ago, and you have seen this Pinkway, the 63 ACG Pinkway. I guess I took off the dogs. So I sent this away to get it modified. Yes, folks. First ever ported Pinkway. At least for the ACG. First ever. No one else has done this to my knowledge. If you know of anyone else, please let me know down in the comments. But I sent this to my good buddy Tony. An express mail. He worked his magic, so it's ported. I'm sure it sounds, I mean, per the footage that he sent me before, it sounds hungry. It sounds beefy. So we're gonna get this all lubed up, fueled up, get the bar and chain back on, make sure it's all dialed in, and we're gonna start it up and we're gonna run it. Are you with me? Let's do this. So as I'm putting this bad boy back together, I was conversing with Tony via text as he was working on this, and it sounded like he had no issues with working his magic. But what happened was, after he ported it, oh, by the way, he looked inside the engine, everything, it looked fine. So whatever he did with the oil, so far so good. But like I said on the if it messes up a video, I think we're gonna go 40 to 1 for a bit and then go over to 50. I believe that's what I said. But he said that the inside looked great, which is awesome to hear. I think what he said, I believe, and Tony corrected me if I'm wrong, but the carb wouldn't stay tuned because there's so much more added power from porting it that the carb wouldn't stay. So I think he bought one of these himself, a new one, and I believe he put the new carb on here to try it. And anyway, he worked some magic. Anyway, the carb now is all dialed in, all good to go. I may need to dial in again because where I'm at more or less like sea level. But we'll see how that goes. But when you're porting it, the carb has to be redialed in because of the added power. Now, I think we talked about getting an aftermarket or REM carb for like a 372, or I think a carb from an Echo. I forget the conversation. That would be a bigger, more beefier carb. And I believe that he did something to this carb, the original carb on here, to make it work. So that's where we're at on this. But just to take note that it's not just porting it and running it. You have to make sure that that the carb can stay in tune with the added power, or it's going to just burn up, right? So, yeah. So in my haste of getting this head to Tony, I forgot that I took off the dogs. And I believe I took off the dogs because I wanted to fit it in the initial box that I had. How does this go? Is it like this? Or like this? I think like this. The initial box that I had that I wanted to put this in, and then I ended up combining a hodgepodge of two boxes together because I ended up burning the initial Pinkway box when I first got this saw a few months ago. So pro tip, if you get a new saw, keep the saw box. You never know if and when you're going to ship it. Keep the skid plate on the very bottom. That comes one. Keep all those boxes just in case. Now, what I'm saying is, don't become a saw like a box hoarder, right? I mean, like we all have a mountain of Amazon boxes, right? Outside or in a garage or in the den, but you never know when you're gonna have to send a head in the mail. And they're good sturdy boxes. Usually they're good sturdy boxes, and they come with good packing material to make sure that that head is not going to move around. You don't want that to happen. You want your head to be protected, right? So, just pro tip, if you ever think you're going to ship a saw head anywhere, keep those boxes around. So, I didn't send the bar and chain to Tony, but I confirmed with him that he had the specs to confirm that he had a bar and chain that would be able to fit on the Pinkway, because after you port something, you need to make sure that you can run it and the carb is dialed in, tuned in to the newer power, and to do that you need to have the bar and chain on it. So because the boxing that I did not include, I asked him, and I did not include the bar and chain. He had one in his shop that he had, so then everything was fine on his end to make sure that all was good. Now the box that like I said, he returned to me the Pinkway in a Pinkway box because, like I said, he bought one because he figured, why not? They're kind of fun, something different, right? I mean, they're definitely not that new. A lot of people have bought them and run them and modified the videos in the TikTok or whatever. I say that they're one of the most popular knockoff Chinese-made cheap saws out there right now of the brands. Not the only one, that's for sure, but for the price point, a lot of books out there are saying it does the job, and if it messes up, I'm only out $100 or so, right? So it's not that big of a loss, but yeah. So anyway, so I digress. So he sent me my Pinkway back in the new. Let's switch this one around. Let's go upside down with this one. He sent me my Pinkway in the box that came with his Pinkway, and with that size box, that could have fit the 20-inch bar. But since he didn't have my bar, that it didn't work. It was fine. But in hindsight, I should have tried to send him this bar and chain so it all was matching. So, but we're good. We're good. Oh, empty, empty. And empty, empty, and no paper towel in there like I did his. That's totally fine. Make sure that it's good to go. Finger in there. And he did tell me that the spark plug is tight, so I may check that just to make sure if I read that text right, but I feel her up. So this is, unlike the Echo, this is gas, this is bar. Okay. So I'm using some 41 True Fuel that I got. The episode where I traded wood for a chainsaw, that old Mac, and I have not touched that saw since I did that episode, unfortunately. So, yeah, just gonna run it with this to see how it goes. Alright, everything is loomed up, fueled up, sharpened, bar and chain on. Oh yeah, I was gonna check the spark plug just to make sure. And I'm sure Tony watching this is gonna be shaking his head. Travis, I told you that it was tight. Well, I'm going to confirm. Oh, thanks, Tony. He put some sealant on my air filter. I appreciate that. That's what he does with his saws. On the air filters. Make sure it's all sealed like that. See that red? That was not on there before. Cool. And then some grease on here to seal it. Awesome, awesome. Thank you, sir. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Want to make sure. Alright, air filter back on. Should we do this? Should we start the bad boy up? I'm not, I mean, I don't want to come off like as I'm not excited. I am. I'm just trying to hide my excitement. This is just cool. This is cool that I have a small following of the channel and some good supporters of the channel, and I'm grateful and thankful. And the Firewood community, as you have seen on my podcast, we help each other and we protect our own, right? Yes, there are some outliers out there, and they're not nice people for whatever reason, but for the most part, we help each other and we support each other, and that's awesome, and I appreciate that. One more thing too, on supporting each other, there are many Firewood outdoors cutting whatever channels out there now, and there's a whole bunch that are budding and they're smaller and they're growing, and I appreciate that you watch my channel. I do. Out of all the channels that you could watch, I'm sure maybe you have your list, or maybe you started out watching the big channels, but then they maybe have switched or added a few, and maybe I'm one of the few that you do watch, and that's cool. Thank you for that. Awesome. So without further ado, let's get this started up. I'm sure it's gonna take a few pulls to get some fuel through the carburetor, because on this one there's no primer bulb, right, which is a bummer. The choke seems to be, let's check the choke, make sure that's engaged. Sometimes the choke gets unlatched. Yeah, we're good. If you have one of these Pinkways, make sure that the choke is attached to where it needs to be attached to. Sometimes they come off. So, all right, I'll put you down and start her up. Woo-hoo-hoo, she popped. you heard her run. She sounds great right now. And yes, I have my chaps on, but I don't have my protective gear. I just briefly, you just heard this, I just opened throttle for maybe a second. My ears are ringing. I mean, yes, with the regular chainsaw, you need to wear ear protection, protect your ears at all times, ear plugs, ear muffs, whatever you can do, sound canceling, something. But I'm not cutting anything. I just wanted to start her up and get her going, make sure that she's running before we're gonna demo this all right now. We're gonna cut some rounds. The chain looks pretty sharp enough to cut, but anyway, my point is I had to turn off just now because my ear started to ring. She's that much louder. Yes, she was loud before because it's a saw, right? It's a chainsaw, but just the added power, the porting on this thing that Tony did on the Purple Monster, I had to stop. I need to put on my ear protection. She's loud. Whew, she's loud. Okay, so I have this conifer right here. Some of them you see are kind of, they're longer than 16s. So I'm going to get my measuring tool. We're going to get it out. Let's put this thing to work in some softwood. Then I'm going to see if I have any hardwood that we can cut into. Let's put this baby back into action and see how she sounds and how she runs and the peak performance. Now, I apologize. I did a clip of the Purple Monster running pre-port job for this episode, in anticipation for this episode, and I lost it. To have a comparison of the noise, the sound difference. But let me see if I can find some other footage of this running in a previous video, and maybe you can hear the difference, perhaps. So, because I think that'd be cool of how many more decibels of sound is coming from this machine. So, without further ado, let's get cutting. The piece I cut fell on my stand and broke my mini tripod here, so not a complete loss. That happens, but I have definitely woken up the neighbors with this saw. Let me put this down for a second. The she's loud. Okay, folks. She's loud, and she's definitely hungry. This machine right here. Let me put it up here for you. Just making mincemeat out of this conifer, and definitely, I don't have words. You know when something is just so amazing, you don't have words for. I mean, maybe it could be the English language. I'm sure. I know that other languages, to define or describe something, they have like one word that means like a whole sentence, right? It's just, she's more of a screamer, right? She just cuts through this wood like butter. Granted, yes, the chain and its sharpness, having it be tuned properly, everything plays into the performance of a saw, right? But just the added power, it may not be a lot, but just enough to add to the potential of this saw running in a wood yard. Even with the ear protection, my ears are still kind of ringing. I need to. Whew, she's loud. Come my breath. This is super cool. So some of you may be thinking to yourself, yeah, you're cutting through a conifer. That's a softwood. That's not going to do anything. Well, I do have some hardwood that I thought I bucked up 16, but I think some of them were bigger than that. So let me bring out the horn beam, some stuff that I'm going through here, and let me see if I can trim those down, make some cookies, and see how this newly ported, first ever ACG 63 cc's, 63 ported Pinkway can do with some dense, heavy hardwood. I'll show you. Well, what do you think? that just ran through some hornbeam that I got from a chip drop. You saw that episode of it being dropped. Dense wood. Now, I think it's my fault. I should have just sharpened a little bit more on my chain. Not that it struggled through the wood. It cut it, but I think it has to do with the wood. It's just dense. It's dense wood. And I think my clone, my 372 XP clone, I think did struggle with this too. Granted, it wasn't dialed in with this carb yet at that point, I don't believe. But this is some dense wood. I wish I had more. And it's going to make for some great firewood this winter. I'm starting to stack it right here behind me here, but I don't know what else to say about this. I mean, am I crazy? Are we crazy? Are Tony and I nuts to spend so much time and effort, money into getting this thing ported? Was that crazy? I mean, I think the worst case scenario is the added power will mess up the carb and we need to buy a new carb or to figure out what carb would go on it. I think that would be the worst case scenario, that there's that much added power that it just burns up the carb and we need to start anew, which is not that big of a deal. But I think it's cool. To my knowledge, first ever Pinkway 63 ACG ported. Purple Monster Pinkway. A lot of P's in there. First ever. I think that is so cool. So I was talking to Tony via text, and the ins and outs of porting definitely I don't quite understand. I can do simple maintenance on a chainsaw, but when it comes to what he does and the magic that he performs on chainsaws and small gas engines is definitely beyond me. But what he said is he only took the baffle out and didn't open up the outlet holes at all. So that's what he did inside. I'm grateful. This thing is cool. This thing is bad ace. So what are my future plans for this? I don't run it. I think for a lot of us, a 20-inch bar up to a 24-inch is a good bar, all-around bar for most of the cutting that we're going to be doing. And I think having now, like I mentioned before, having two saws at 20-inch bars is nice. To have both on a job, both in the yard, they're both lubed up, they're fueled up, they're sharpened. And when one gas tank is empty, or if one chain gets fouled up, you fire up the next one and you keep going. And you keep cutting, keep bucking, whatever you need to do to get the job done. It's nice having two at the same bar length. Yes, having a smaller saw with a smaller bar has its place. Similar to a bigger saw with a bigger bar has its place. But I think the sweet spot could be, for a lot of us, a 20-inch bar, and then let's go up to about a 60cc saw ahead. I think that 50 may be too light, too small, and not enough power to get through what we need to get through. I think that a 60 to a 70cc saw is good for a lot of us, but I think a 60cc with a 20-inch bar is a good sweet spot. You can disagree, you can agree down in the comments. Please let me know your thoughts on that. But she screams, she's loud, and she cuts. I need to work on the chain a little bit, get that sharpened down. Maybe the rakers, I don't know. But let me know how you think she sounds with the added power, with it being ported. I haven't fiddled with the carb at all. I've not done that. I may do that on a phone call with Tony, because now it's louder, so to hear it, the tune, may be different. So definitely need to bring out the tack. Anyway, quick video, super jazzed about this project. First one. I think it's cool to be the first one, but if I'm wrong, let me know down in the comments. If you found another ACG ported on social media, or you know of one, let me know. But to my knowledge, first one ported, I think that's pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. I've now woken up my neighbors. It's in the morning time-ish, but on a Sunday. Happy Dad's Day, belated Dad's Day to all of you who celebrate Dad's Day. Happy Father's Day to you. I hope that this also woke you up if you're watching this in the morning on Monday. But I thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. Until next time, life's too short to be a prick, so be kind to one another. Rock and roll. Stay safe. Keep cutting. Cheers.